Bloodborne is amazing. Why am I telling you this 6 years after it's released? Because, it's that good that, it can still be talked about. And I'm still gonna talk about it 6 years after it's released, because I only just recently finished it. I recently played it for the first time and finished it. And it's already one of my favourite games of all time, probably top 10ish. It's really, really good. I'm currently doing a New Game Plus and a second playthrough to get all the endings. So yeah, it's really good. and in this video I'm going to talk about why I think it's really good. But first, I'm going to talk about Dark Souls. So, you always hear about Dark Souls. I'm pretty sure everyone heard about Dark Souls, and people are like, oh, it's really hard, but also, oh, it's really good. I don't really have a console that it's on, but then it got announced it was coming to Switch, and I was like, oh my god, I've got a Switch, I'll buy that. So I did. But anyway, I played it, and it was really good, but I was using a walkthrough because I had no clue where I was going, and I got pretty far. It's been quite a while. It's been like 50 hours, and I got to after Odyssey and Smough. I ain't got any of the Lord Souls yet, not Lord Vessels. I was just before Nito, and I couldn't get to him because that flipping area is so annoying. I hate it. Because that area is so annoying and I hate it, and because I've been playing it 50 hours, which is basically my cap on games. After I play a game, that's when I kind of get bored at like 50 hours. So if the game's longer than that, you're gonna have to do something special to get me to keep on playing. Anyway, the area was annoying and I was bored, so I stopped playing it. And I thought I was never gonna finish it, but then I'd come back to it sometimes and maybe get a little bit further, and I was like, nah, can't be bothered. But then my brother got told by his friends to play Dark Souls 3, and so he did, and he bashed it, and he was able to finish it. I don't know how fucking quickly, but really quickly. And I was watching him, and I was like, you know what? That does kind of look fun. I'm gonna finish Dark Souls. So then I did finish Dark Souls, and that was really good. Artorias is the best boss. I did some more of it on my Instagram. But I didn't actually beat Manus because I hated him. He was so annoying, I just skipped him. Anyway, still fucking talk about Dark Souls. I really enjoyed it, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to play Bloodborne, because I've heard from everyone that Bloodborne's really good, and it's better than Dark Souls, and I'd always thought, in the time where I didn't play Dark Souls, I should probably get Bloodborne. Maybe I'll be able to play Bloodborne and finish it. But then, I finished Dark Souls, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to play it. So I bought Bloodborne, and started playing it, and yeah, instantly fell in love basically when I actually started playing the game. Really, really, really good. So yeah, I know it's a bit of a flipping tangent to actually get to talk about Bloodborne, but hey, we're talking about it now. So first, what initially drew me in as the thing that I was like, this looks cool, is the setting, or the world and the atmosphere. I'd always saw clips of Bloodborne, and it's this cool, gothic kind of, gothic, Victorian era kind of setting. That's really cool. I really like gothic horror. I really like Castlevania and stuff. So I was like, you know what, that's cool, and it's got guns in it. That's cool. And the guns aren't flipping OP, they're for parrying. That seems pretty cool, and everything else about it looked cool. And I was, you know what, looks good. But yeah, no, I'm supposed to be talking about the world. The atmosphere of Bloodborne is very, I don't know how you'd flipping explain it, but it's like the atmosphere of Dark Souls, so dark, kind of gloomy, but not really. But it's just like this gothic. It's got werewolves, and everyone's sort of depressed or scared of like the beasts. I'll get into the story a little bit, but there's people turning into beasts and stuff. But then, partway through the game, this is kind of a spoiler if you haven't played Bloodborne, but does it really matter? Halfway through the game, it goes from like gothic horror to more like cosmic horror and eldritch beings and Lovecraftian and cosmic stuff. And that is pretty cool because I love gothic horror, and cosmic horror is pretty cool. I tried reading some Lovecraft, and I didn't particularly like his writing style, but the actual stuff in it is really cool. I play D&D, so in D&D there's like aboleths and stuff. I'm playing a campaign where aboleths are a big part, so they're like great old ones. So that also interested me a lot. And Bloodborne delivers in that because, you know, the Gothic horror beast bosses are really cool, but then when it turns into, you get like insight and stuff, and you can start seeing all the weird stuff around and all the flipping weird squid monsters. When you see the amygdalas on the building, it's like, oh my god. So then, you know, you're probably like, what is the plot of this game? That sounds interesting. And it's kind of hard to explain, but like, because, you know, it's a flipping Souls game, so, you know, very convoluted and lore heavy and doesn't really explain it in the story. But, you know, the actual plot of the actual in-game plot is something like, you're a hunter, you go and hunt the beasts. That's basically all you get. But really the actual story is something along the lines of there's these great old ones which can't reproduce with each other, so they use humans to reproduce, so they impregnate maybe people and they give birth. So that's why there's great old ones. But then also there's something about the old blood. I can't remember if the old blood is probably in the old times they like worship the great old ones and they gave them this old blood in this underground city, and then the people in Yarnum, which is the Gothic place. You know, I don't really understand. If you're gonna flipping want to properly understand, watch a flipping lore video. But you know, they discovered this old blood, and then the healing church used it to heal everything, because you know it was literally like this blood would like heal everything. But it was also kind of infected, and it would give people, if they used it too much, like beast, not disease, but you know, they turn into beasts. These beasts. So you know, there's this whole thing. Well, there's this one school that wants to learn about insight in the great old ones, but there's this other offshoot which is the healing church who want to know about the blood. And that's why it's called Bloodborne. It's to do with blood a lot. You have blood vials which you heal yourself. But yeah, if you take too much blood and then you turn into a beast, or you become drunk on blood, and you know, that's the DLC kind of stuff. Anyway, that's the story. Very, very not well explained by me at all. So that's cool. I like the lore. Probably one of the most. I'm more interested in the lore of Bloodborne than I was of Dark Souls. I've watched quite a few lore videos on Bloodborne. You know, the DLC lore stuff is really interesting as well. You know, I'll get into it, but you know, Orphan of Kos and stuff like that, you know, that's really interesting. But yeah, let's actually talk about the game, because the game's really good. So, gameplay, it's a lot of fun. So, you know, there's the Dark Souls gameplay. You explore, you kill stuff, you kill bosses, you level up, you explore, you backtrack, whatever. It's basically a Metroidvania. You know me, I love my Metroidvanias. And if you don't know me, then there you go. I love Metroid, I love Castlevania, and it's kind of similar to that. But yeah, no, the actual combat, it's a lot better than Dark Souls 1 anyway. I mean, I haven't played 2 and 3, but it's a lot better than Dark Souls 1, because Dark Souls 1 felt a bit clunky, you couldn't move whilst you were healing, it's a bit slow. But Bloodborne is fast, aggressive, everything's a lot more streamlined. And this is shown in also a mechanic, which is where you, if you get hit and your health bar goes down, if you attack the enemy, it's possible to gain that health back, which basically tries to persuade you, I guess, through gameplay mechanics, to be aggressive. And that is a good thing, because being aggressive is what the game wants you to do, because that's how you will win. It's not Dark Souls, you don't want to cower behind a shield like I did when I played Dark Souls. So, you know, the enemies, you know, really cool. I think all of them can be, well, most of them can be parried compared to in Dark Souls where only humanoid ones could. And you parry that with your gun. So, you know, we'll get into the weapons. The gun is used to parry, and you know, there's a small window to do it as they're attacking, and then you can go in for a visceral, which is a big attack. And you have your weapon, which are trick weapons, and those are really cool. Probably one of the best parts of the game is the trick weapons, because it makes every weapon feel special. It's so much more dynamic and fun than Dark Souls were. So many weapons are alike in Dark Souls. A lot of them I can't even flipping use. But if I get one, it's like, well, I just sort of hit. I use R1. But in Bloodborne, trick weapons, if you know what they are, it's basically a weapon that you press a button and it changes modes, kind of. So, for example, let's just take the cane. In its regular mode, it's a cane, you swing it around, click L1, changes into a nice whip. So now instead of small slashing, you've got wide area swinging kind of thing. You know, all the weapons have different transformations. So another one is, you know, the Ludwig's Holy Blade, which is in its normal form, it's just a longsword, but then you stick it in with massive sheath and it becomes a greatsword. And that really increases the amount of moves you've got, and makes the moves a lot more diverse, and just a lot more fun to use. So it's really good. I love the weapons in Bloodborne. They're all really cool. There's only a couple which I'm kind of like, the stake driver. But anyway, if we're going to talk about gameplay, we talk about combat, there's the other part, which is the exploration, and the exploration in this game is superb. So good. Just the first level, if you're going to call it a level, Central Yharnam, so many twists and turns and diverging paths, loop around, it's so good, it's perfect. It's what you want in a game where you explore. You can find nooks and crannies to get cool items and cool shortcuts and link around. And when I initially played it, I missed this one area in Central Yharnam where you can get good starting early, not really armor, but I think clothes, which is and then on the subsequent playthrough I went through and found it. Always stuff to find. There's always optional areas to go to. It's just exploration is one of my favourite parts of video games, and it just does it so well because you always feel like what you find in these optional areas, if it's cold blood, you get blood echoes for, which you level up. If it's runes, which you can attach to give you extra buffs. If it's blood gems, which you just upgrade your weapons. It could even be weapons or armour. They're all useful things to find. Nothing feels pointless to find. Unlike in Metroid, it's probably one of my only complaints about Metroid is I can't be bothered finding flipping missile upgrade. If it's a missile upgrade, I'm not gonna get it. It's pointless. I don't need more missile capacity, and I feel like that is one of the only big flaw I have with Metroid's exploration. Is the only thing I feel worthwhile getting is the energy thing, the thing that upgrades your health. Can't remember what they're called. But yeah, the exploration Bloodborne's really good. Some of my favourite areas, like I just said, Central Yharnam was really good, really well made. I really like the aesthetic of the fishing hamlet. That's really cool. It's less interconnected. I feel like some of the areas are more linear than others. But yeah, how the fishing hamlet looks, really, really cool. It is still pretty fun. Cathedral Ward's pretty good, because there's two ways to get into Cathedral Ward. You can either beat the Blood-Starved Beast, or you can buy an emblem. That's good diversity for replayability. That's cool. Oh yes, Canehurst. I really like Canehurst Castle. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Canehurst. Apart from the area, it's like a big castle with basically vampires in it. Called the... God, what are they called? Doesn't matter. I'll put it on screen. But this area is really cool, but it also does remind me a lot of a D&D campaign I'm running, which is Curse of Strahd. And this is an official campaign, but in both Curse of Strahd and Bloodborne, you get an invitation to the castle. And when you go to a specific area with the invitation, a horse-drawn carriage comes with no one in it, no one driving it, doors open, and you get in, and you go to the castle with no one there. And then when you get to the castle, there's a big vampire castle. There are obviously, you're invited there. What else is there? There's vampires in it. And so does Curse of Strahd. Curse of Strahd is a vampire story. Strahd is the main villain. He's the vampire, and it's his castle. Whereas Castle Canehurst, it's not exactly vampires, but bloodleckers and... Anyway, and I looked it up, and apparently it's pretty similar because they both take inspiration from the original Dracula. I feel like the next thing we have to talk about is the bosses, because that's a very important part of Souls game, is the bosses. And to be perfectly honest, first time through, a lot of the bosses weren't that hard. I normally beat them on around 3 attempts. Some first try, obviously some are really easy. And that is probably because I had Ludwig's OP sword, also known as Ludwig's Holy Blade, which is a really, really good weapon, which just shreds through everything. And if that didn't use that, I would use the Saw Cleaver, because on early bosses that was really good because it has serrated damage, which is just a special weapon type, which means that if a weapon is serrated, it does 20% extra damage to beasts. So, for example, on Vicar Amelia, beat her first try initially, because I had Sword Cleaver and she's a beast. But I also do want to say on my subsequent playthroughs, I found the Vicar Amelia a lot harder. It's kind of weird. Yeah, no, I think the most trouble I had with bosses was either Father Gascoigne on first playthrough. Actually, I had trouble with the one reborn. Just kind of weird. Oh no, it's just flipping stuff raining from the sky, which is just kind of annoying. And I'd feel like maybe I just wasn't sticking to him hard enough. I'd feel like I would run for his head or his butt. And also flipping Abritas. God damn it, flipping hate that boss. Not because it's bad, like some other ones I'm going to talk about, it's just kind of annoying. It's kind of like Manus from Dark Souls, where it's just like the hitboxes. It's a massive boss. Hitboxes are massive. You can't really dodge the attacks that well. And then she flipping uses magic. It's also like Manus. I flipping hate Manus and I hate Abricius. It's the same boss, and I hate him so much. Yeah, so I just wanted to say that initially Ludwig's Holy Blade made the bosses really easy, and that was still fun. I actually found the areas a lot harder, probably because I got ganged up on. You know, some areas which I flipping despised. Well, not despised, but you know, I just flipping die constantly. You know, flipping Nightmare Frontier, everyone flipping hates that. I flipping hate the Bloodlickers as well, my god, screw them. How are they so much more easier in the flipping DLC? They were just jumping around in the main game. Anyway, in the DLC, everyone hyped up Ludwig, but if you use Ludwig's Holy Blade on Ludwig, it was really easy. I think I beat him on my second try. And that's kind of annoying, which I think I'm going to go back and try and beat him again. But anyway, on Lady Maria, I decided not to use Ludwig's Holy Blade. So I was like, you know what, this looks like a cool boss fight. My favourite boss fight in Dark Souls was Sartorius, and this seems kind of similar, kind of. So I decided to use the Logarius wheel because it's funny. I think the Logarius wheel is just really funny. It's just a big flipping wheel. I tell you what, it took me a lot more attempts. I don't know how many, probably like 7. And that was a lot more fun, except Logarius wheel would often miss, which is kind of annoying, so then I changed to Amygdalan Arm instead. There's a flipping massive range, the Amygdalan Arm is so flipping good. Anyway, so yeah, I finally beat Lady Maria after many attempts, and now Lady Maria is probably my favourite boss from Bloodborne. You know, really, really, really good. But talk about the DLC and talk about hard parts of the game, then the thing we have to talk about is the hardest part of the game for me, which was the well with the flipping sharks in it, in the flipping fishing hamlet. If you know, you know. But oh my, I hate this. I hate it so much. Everyone, before I got into this area, I was like, the sharks are the hardest enemy in the game. They're so annoying. And the first shark you fight, he comes around the corner, and he wasn't that hard. I was like, what is wrong with people? This isn't that bad. And that's because this shark doesn't have a weapon, and sharks without the flipping harpoon are actually kind of easy. Well, not easy, but you know, they're not really hard. But then you go around the corner, and there's a flipping shark with a harpoon, and oh my god, I think I died to him at least like 5 times. But then there's in the well, you go down, and this is to get Lady Maria's weapon. There's a shark with a harpoon in a well, and I was like, not another one of these. It only took me more than 5 attempts to beat the one in the actual area where you need to go to, and this is optional. And then when you get into half HP, another one flipping jumps from the room. There's 2 of them, 2 flipping sharks. So annoying, but at least this shark didn't have a harpoon, so that was alright. But it still took me loads of attempts. And the reason why these sharks are so flipping annoying, the ones with the harpoons especially, is they're super aggressive. They swing the harpoon, and you feel like you've dodged it, and then they just swing the other direction, and they hit you, and then they flipping hit you 5 times. It's like a flipping 5-hit combo, where it's impossible to dodge. And then if you do dodge it, and you run away, they leap at you at like 100 miles per hour, like they flipping belly flop, and rush at you, and it's like, my god. So yeah, aggressive enemies. Kind of hard. But if we talk about aggressive enemies, you know, we might as well finish talking about the DLC. Talk about the Orphan of Kos. I did mention this before. Lore of Orphan of Kos. You know, I don't really know a lot about it, but pretty cool. Kos, this great old one that helped the fishing hamlet when the fishing hamlet was exploited by the healing church and the hunters, so then they asked Kos to curse them, so now all the hunters are cursed in this hunter's nightmare. Pretty sure. But Kos died somehow, and the boss you fight is the Orphan of Kos, which, as you enter the arena, literally leaves its mother's, you know, Kos. It's basically born an orphan, it leaves the corpse as you get into the area, and its weapon is a placenta. So, yeah. And this, everyone said, was the hardest boss in the game, and I agree, it was really hard, but if you be super careful and parry and backstab, it does become a little easier. Still hard, but I didn't spend like 20 attempts. I think I did it in around 10 attempts for run across. But that's only because I was being kind of safe. And I think if you can see in the clip that I would basically not attack him at all. Because in his second phase, oh my god, he's super aggressive. I did not want to get in there. I probably could have hit him a couple times, but I didn't want to risk it. I just waited for the parry and the backstab. But then when he gets to a bit low, I was like, okay, I just need to flip it hit him. So yeah, Awful Cost was a really good fight. But you just have to be super careful with him. So yeah, talking about great bosses, I did mention before bad bosses, and I did say I hated Abritus, but definitely not the worst boss in the game for being bad. The easiest boss, which is awful designed, is obviously Witches of Hemlock. Flipping, what was that boss? Oh my, just too, yeah, no. First time around with Ludwig's Holy Blade, you just ignore the flipping imp things and just go for him. But the actual worst boss in the game is Mikolash. Flipping, everyone knows Mikolash is awful. He just runs away from you for half the flipping fight. And you're supposed to trap him in a room, but I just ran at him until I caught up to him and attacked him. Obviously, you have to trap in the room for the final bit. And I almost died to him, which would have been super annoying, so I don't want to run after him again. But yeah, worst boss in the game, Mikolash. Flipping, screw you. Finally, what we're going to talk about is what I talk about every video, and that is the soundtrack. And now, soundtrack is pretty good. It wasn't incredibly noticeable, so because I don't think there's any music that plays in the main areas, but the boss fight music is pretty good. But then the DLC, and I'm just praising the DLC. The DLC of this game is really good. You know what I'm gonna say, but Ludwig Holy Blade theme is one of the greatest tracks in video games. So damn good. I can't explain it, but it's got everything, not everything I like, but I really like flipping like string, violin, the flipping epic choir thing, orchestra, really, really good. And I'll give you a lesson. Some other great songs, obviously Lady Maria is really good. Anyway, in conclusion, I did get the true ending to this game. Just mention that Gerwin was pretty good, slightly annoying, the fucking AoE magic attack screwed me up a couple of times, and then Moon Presence was easier, but I don't know, everyone was like, oh my god, it's really easy. But maybe I died a couple of times to Moon Presence. But anyway, Bloodborne is genuinely, even after 6 years and not having played it until recently, amazing game, and you should play it. You don't have to, but my recommendation. I think it was really good. But yeah, thanks for listening. This is my slightly scripted video over, kind of more like not really a rant, but hope you enjoyed me just talk about Bloodborne, and I couldn't really decide on a video to make for a bit. I've still got maybe one more video idea to do, but then I have literally no ideas. I don't know what to make videos on. Well, after playing Bloodborne, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna, I love this game too much. Obviously 10 out of 10, love it. It's in my top 10 favourites. So yeah, cool. Thanks for watching. Said it again, but whatever. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you next time if I actually end up doing that video idea, which something to do with the Majora's Mask maybe. If I actually decide to do it. Anyway, bye.